Wonder Woman 80th Anniversary 100-page spectacular, and this is of course the big tribute. This is the big short story anniversary tribute that they've been doing with all the other DC characters that are hitting 80, like Batman, Superman, and Green Lantern, and Green Arrow, and Joker, and Robin, and Catwoman. I completely forgot there was Aquaman one, but I know there's a Batman Rose Gallery one because so many of the Batman Rose Gallery I turned 80, so decided to do one book that celebrates all of them. But in this case, it's Wonder Woman. It's all about the champion. It is a collection of short stories with different writers and artists, and it's collection 9 this time. And the first one's called Ingomarium, which is a neat way. It's a neat way to start this issue. It is a neat way to start these short stories, and that is all about Steve Rogers grieving. He has created this short documentary on Wonder Woman, on Diana, who has died, and he creates this documentary talking about what she meant to the world, what she meant to him, because shock horror, the first couple of words in this documentary is that she was the first woman I loved. So there's that. What she meant to her, what she saw the world as, all these different perspectives and all that. And the documentary itself, the writing of it, okay. This story is good. It's a good story. It is a very way to explore and hit every mark of through the 80 years that you could do of a documentary, a slideshow, whatever. But the dialogue that Steve has is very like, she saw the light and the light saw her and she always saw the truth, and it's like kind of the same sentence getting repeated in different ways. And when you're like reading it at the beginning, you're like, oh, this is kind of neat and very beautiful and all kinds of stuff, and it's like a Ingomarium and all that. But when it came to reading it further through the story, really, it kind of did drag a little bit. Just because I'm like, there's so many times you can say she saw trust in humanity and man's world, or peace and truth and what mattered to her and all that. I'm like, it's like it was kind of halting a bit and wanted to span it and felt like we need an extra couple of pages, so let's span it on. But it's neat. It's a nice way to wrap start this issue off, and it's not bad. It's just like, okay, like let's get on to the other 8 of them. The second story is called Dreamers, and what this story is about is you got young Diana on Vigastira exploring the island because part of her is all about you're the heir to the throne, you're a princess, you are not allowed to explore the island that you are one day are going to rule. You're going to be queen one day and you're not allowed to explore it. Well, fuck you, mom, I'm going to explore it. So Diana explores the secret underwater tunnel, and by doing that, she bumps into another Amazon. And this Amazon is kind of cool. She's just going to say, hey, I'll find out there's a secret way to said cave, or a secret way to get into this certain thing I'm guarding, but I just won't tell that you will evolve. But because of it, you kind of realize this is a scene, this little moment is where that Dinah learns her values. Because there's this line that this other Amazon says, and it is, find your truth. Basically, find out who you are. And there's this line that says, paraphrasing here, but, train yourself before you train to others. Basically, find your true self before you fuss about what other people think. And here's the thing, due to the fact that the art style feels very young adult, this story feels like a backdoor pilot to a young adult series that may not have been already been announced. So, and I'm like, if this is what's up to there, I'm like, hey, I'm maybe not the target demographic here, but I'm, if I'm a young adult or I'm a parent, I'd be like, hey, there's this Wonder Woman book. This thing, my kids seen the movies or the anime stuff or whatever. Yeah, this seems to be a good way to go about young Diana learning her ways. But if it's not, it's just a neat little young adult story inside this number of Wonder Woman stories that's going to hit every side decade that it wants to go. Now, this one is a bit of a fun one, which is called Fritz Catch, which is essentially the 1940s tribute, where you have Wonder Woman stuck in like a Batman 1966 trap, where the henchmen or the bad guys has trapped Wonder Woman on this giant magnet. She's trapped. These guys are laughing at her and saying, "You're late. You sure are minding your business." And then Nigger Candy busts in with Amazons wearing chilling shirts with a massive microphone saying, "Hello, boys. How you going? Now, it's not nice to have a lady, pound onto a giant magnet. Girls, you go." And you're like, okay, this is just fun. Even Diana's like, "Hi, girls. How you going?" "Wow, I'm on a giant magnet." It's fun. It's not really much to it. It's just a little fun story, or fun moment. And you have a little, I won't lie, I had a bit of a smile reading it. But yeah, it's like a 1940s bit of cheese onto it and all that. It's nothing, it's the fun one. It's, the fun one, not that much tribute. It's just like, here's the era, and here's what it was pretty much be in kind of a modern written context. So the next one is called Dear Diana, and what this story is about is that Arthur Bell with the Justice League, mainly with Flash and Green Lantern. Green Lantern asks Wonder Woman for advice. She gives said advice, it helped, and clearly the word spread because now she is the advisor. Like, she is the friend on the table that everyone asks for advice, like she's a flipping psychiatrist. And name a character that asks him advice. Hawkwoman? Oh yeah. Green Arrow? Green Arrow is asking, what should I give Black Canary? I mean, seriously, you're dating her, you should probably know. Robin's asking, so I'm playing, I have a choice of baseball or football, which should I choose? I'm like, dude, Aussie Rules, Jesus, don't play that fake football shit, jeez. Bruce, I thought you'd be teasing him good things. Anyway, then you have Barry asking questions like, should I tell Iris that I'm the Flash, and all this kind of thing, and it's kind of annoying her every single time. Even Superman, and Superman is probably like the most logical out of the bunch. It's like, hey, how can I get this to that? And it's completely confused her to the point when Soups goes and says, "Hey, if you need anyone to talk to, no, you're flying away in the invisible jet. You're flying away in the invisible jet. Good talking to you, Daya. Good way to talk to you. Yeah, that's the truth. And it is that sense of like it's her birthright, and it's all that, and it's her kind of it's a fun story. It's a neat way that kind of show that, hey, Diana is that type of character who is the type of character who, if she was real, that you would literally ask for advice immediately. And it's kind of like, what happens if that person gets annoyed by it and gets sick of it and all that. It's a neat one. It's a good story. It's a good one. So this one is called Dated, and this one is probably the best one so far, because what essentially it's about is that Lois Lane goes to Clark Kent and says simply this: look, you might be the most Boy Scout swear person in the history of swear Boy Scout people, and ever since you got here, I haven't seen you on a single day, and I'm going to change that. I'm going to hook you up. I'm going to hook you up with this chick. And turns out that chick turns to be Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman. And you have, of course, the comedic thing. You have, two people who know each other, but, the Western world doesn't know that they two know each other because they just know, well, they know that, Superman and Wonder Woman are friends, but they don't know that Clark Kent and Diana Prince are friends. And what you have is this very funny, really charming, really well written story of the classic, swear guy going on a date with this uppy, choppy girl, lady who's very like, come on, let's go to the club. Come on. And she's like, I'm being on Paradise Island, and I want to experience, basically, when I'm Diana Prince, I want to have fun. I want to, the serious stuff is where I'm pointing the gauntlet, where I put the lasso on. Let's have fun together, in a friend way. And they go to the club, or she's changing his clothes because he keeps wearing the same fucking grey suit every time. And you're just like, this is charming and lovely. And even the point where he tries to invite Lois to a date. And I also love the line where they said, when Diana says, yeah, Clark, stop. Us two being a thing, it's never going to work. Knowing that New 52, 2 years later, they make Superman and Wonder Woman hook up because in issue 1 of, I think, Superman, they Lois and Clark broke up. Anyway, and it didn't work, of course. It all went back to the status quo. Which was just kind of funny. But the part where he says to Lois, we went to a hip club? I'm like, Jesus Christ, hip. God, not, Jesus, how swear you are. I was like, Jesus. But, this is a nice, fun story of Superman and Wonder Woman going on a little friend date. Play date, you may say. Now, this one is called Better Angels, and this one is basically, like, there's always, like, that one where it is just a big action sequence. Because what the story is basically about is Cheetah and Wonder Woman are having a fight. Kids and a teacher is in the rubble of the fight. Diana says, please, can you save children? I will surrender. If you do, but the love of God, please save the kids. Cheetah does save said kids and teacher, and that's the end of the story. But I get it. Like, the concept is, hey, there's still some good in Cheetah. There's still good in Barbara. And the whole thing about Wonder Woman, and I love the artwork of this, kind of throwback to, like, 80s style comic books. And definitely during the George Perez days with the character. But it is just a simple hero versus villain. They win, the hero wins at the end kind of story. And there's nothing really much there. And as much as they do the whole, there's still good in her, it's, as there's parallels between her and Diana Supes, and as they both see the good in people, and that's kind of it. There's nothing really that gripping of a story for me with this one. So the next one is called Saturn Rising, and this one was fine. I really like the artwork in this, but I just found it was meh. Really, I don't know why. It's the whole thing of like, okay, in the past Wonder Woman, there's this thing where you must battle the warrior of Saturn, and to battle, and you will win after combat, and if you win, you will continue to be Wonder Woman and that whole thing. And Diana finds a way to not have a battle, but unite the Amazon and the Saturns together. And I'm like, as much as a very classic Wonder Woman thing to do, as in like, oh, battle? I find a way to stop the whole thing all at once, so if there's more Wonder Woman, they don't have to deal with this crap. Like, it's a very Diana thing to do. But it just I just felt the story just, I don't want to say empty, but kind of just man. That I don't know what word to ascribe it really. Just a missed story, and it's 9 out. It's like there's 9 stories in this. Not all of them are gonna be hitters, and yeah, I mean, it's just really. Our next story is called Immortal Mysteries, and what this one is, it's kind of like the Cheetah one. Really, I mean, we're in a Jones type twist where you have a professor in a cave, bumps into the supernatural, but Wonder Woman comes down and saves the day and fights said creatures and all that kind of thing. And that's basically what the story is. But what makes it slightly different is the mythology behind it, because this is the supernatural Greek mythology type one. There is this whole the story behind it, and the story and the whole thing about the anxiety to live forever, be immortal, shall not die. There can only be one, quoting Highlander. But it's one of those things where, like, even though it's heavily written, as though I really like the mythology behind the creatures, it is essentially just the Cheetah story. And it's just, I kind of like, a little bit more, please. As much as it is more, I kind of like want more, if that makes sense. But yeah, just kind of the same stuff, but more heavily written. And now we're here with the final story for doing a different format of doing these 80th anniversary type 100-page issue stuff, for going story per story, then trying to wash it through. But we're here with the final story called Low Orbit. And this one is, like, first thing first, I really enjoy the artwork in this. I really do. It has this kind of, I don't want to say anime look, but kind of has this kind of really cartoony look, where you have Diana kind of going through the entire thing of, like, it's in the future, we are abandoning Earth, we are basically fuck everything up, as we mostly do, and she's having this thing of, like, look, I could leave. Should I help them? Like, they basically done everything by themselves. They're in the situation because of them. But that I have hope. I have hope in humanity. I have hope for them, and hope is what they need. And what they need is a god on the side, because I'm the daughter of fucking Zeus. So, I'm going to do everything I can. And that's what it is. Because here's the thing. The story, like, the events that happen in it, is nothing that special. It's like the last one. It's like the Cheetah one. It's basically Wonder Woman saving the satellite that the entire rest of the human race is on, that is going down back to orbit. And she is lifting up, trying to give them hope, give it a sense of humanity. And it's the whole, like, I can, as I'm going to quote, I can only give them my strength, and hope that my strength, with their courage, will see them through. Elevate. It's the best way to explain. It's kind of like if Wonder Woman was the Doctor, and she was kind of given the how great humanity is speeches. That's basically what it is. And it's a good issue. It's a good story. It's a neat way to wrap things up. And here's the thing. It's not a bad, like, as a whole, this whole anniversary thing, it's not that bad. It's there's some, it's one of those, because there are some that don't care about that one, didn't care about that one, thought that was a bit weak. This one's kind of like, some are better than others, some I care more about than others. But yeah, this is a really well done, a really well anniversary issue. So yeah, wherever the next one comes out, hopefully I don't miss that one, I'm going to read it, do it, and